Good morning, community. Jill here with North Texas Vegetable Gardening, canning recipes, a little bit of everything. The heat is on, guys, and it is awful. So kind of wanted to go through and show you what's going on in this big high tunnel because it's quickly coming to the end of its demise for some things. Other things are doing okay. Let's take a look around. Greg has started removing many of the tomato plants that were looking pretty crummy, but you can see we've got some ripe tomatoes. Now some of them are getting the sun scald, some of them are not. So yeah, we think we're going to get one more batch for a sale tomorrow, but that's probably going to be it for a big sale. We might be able to continue getting some just for us, maybe for a little bit of canning or something, but for the most part the tomatoes are on their way out. And here's one with a couple of buds, but guys, it is so hot. I can't emphasize how hot it is here in Texas. Just as hot as it was last year this time of year. Yeah, something I've been dreading, and you know that. And I just can't wait for the next winter weather advisory that we might get sometime later this year. We're finally starting to see a little bit of okra come in, and our basil's doing okay. But yeah, there's a little bit of okra coming in. Yeah, well, Greg didn't get to these in time, did he? That's too big. So I can see I'm gonna have to get in here and pick okra this morning before it gets too hot. But at least I'm getting some. Our bell peppers are doing pretty good in here. Got a couple of onions I need to pull. But yeah, our bell peppers are doing okay. So basically it's a little bit what's left over of the tomatoes, a little bit of bell peppers. Sweet potatoes are doing okay. Need to pull those onions and okra. And then we have the melons on the back acre, which I'll show you here in a minute because they're struggling in this heat as well. So it looks like what happened is we were so cool and getting lots of rain, and man, the faucet turned off, the refrigerator kicked off, and now the heater is on, and everything just kind of went into a little bit of a shock with such a quick weather change. So even though we've gotten close to 30 inches of rain this year, you can see things dry up quite quickly here in Texas. And so over here, though, is where we have our irrigation. And we're starting to see some cantaloupes come in. Thank the Lord. There's one over there. Oh, look. And it looks like I got some purple whole peas to pick. I don't think I can get out here today. I got to run some errands this morning. But yeah, in the morning, I'm gonna have to be out here picking peas. It's a mess out there, but we do have things growing. Looks like our cantaloupes are doing pretty good. I'll be happy if I get 5 or 6, but it looks like we got quite a bit more coming in, and the watermelons are looking pretty good, and the pumpkins are looking okay. I don't think they look as good as they did last year, but we'll wait and see what happens. So we're coming down to where we're just about at the end of the garden. We did get a couple of nice sized patty pan squashes that we will covet this week. My goodness. And our herbs seem to be doing okay here and in the little high tunnel. I'll show you. So my nice green lush tomatoes are just about done. Herbs aren't looking as good as they did last year at this time, guys. But yeah, I think that we're going to continue to foster them and freeze dry what we get. And these are what the squash plants look like. And look, there's another little patty pan back there I need to get. And I told Greg to go ahead and leave them. And I'm glad I did, because we wouldn't have got those patty pans had I not. Now we got this huge zucchini plant that has just not produced at all. It's really, really strange to me. I think I'm probably going to go ahead and get this one pulled because it's taking up a lot of room, and I need to start planting my fall garden. Look, we even have some eggplant going, which loves heat. And I got some bush bean vines in here that look like they're going to continue to prosper. And what I'll do is I'll trellis them up along the side here. Sweet potatoes are looking okay. They're not liking the heat, even though they're heat lovers, because that sun just beats down, guys. It just beats down. And our pear tree is loaded. These aren't near time to harvest, but they are looking pretty good, and I hope that we get some this year. We've not had a good pear harvest in years. And I have a couple of lowly cabbages. I did harvest 2 last week, and it was delicious. I made some sausage and cabbage. So yeah, at least I got a little bit of cabbage. Something I hadn't discussed with y'all in a while is the moringa. So we started these moringa trees by seed, and they are doing well. They do like this type of weather. And this plant should get about 12 to 16 feet tall before the end of the season. And it looks like we're right on track for that. So it's that time of year when everything is ugly and looks like a mess because it's coming to the end of its life cycle. We need to go ahead and pull it. We need to get things cleaned up and get ready for our fall gardening. We got some tomatoes already started, and I need to get some onions started. I'm a little bit behind on that, but yeah, we're in between now. We're in between because it's getting too hot to really grow anything else other than maybe the peppers. They thrive, and the peas and stuff on the back acre. So it's that time where the only time you really get cool is when you get in your car and turn that AC on full blast, or around midnight at night when the house finally starts to cool down. So I kind of started counting up how many growing days that we've had so far this year, because it's been thought and been reported that we have anywhere from 120 to 180 days growing time. So if you want to count the time from when we started our seeds, which was January the 1st for the tomatoes and probably the peppers as well, then we're going to have to say it is right at 180 days. But if you want to count the time of when we put the plants in the ground and until harvest runs out, as far as tomatoes, for an example, we're looking at about maybe 100 days, 110 days of good growing time. Now, I wouldn't say that these last couple of weeks have been good growing time, because we certainly jumped into summer very quickly. But then let's add on if we're able to get some fall seeds started, which I sure hope we can. Our tomatoes are looking okay. They're going to have to be transplanted, but let's look and see about our fall garden. If we're able to get some tomatoes going, then we're probably looking at, and there's a train, we're probably looking at maybe closer to that 180 days. It depends. So we're hoping that we can put the tomatoes in the ground probably mid to late July, keep them alive, and then try to get a harvest 1st of October to our first freeze, which is mid-November. So that's what we're hoping. Now, it doesn't include the watermelons and cantaloupes, which you saw the cantaloupes. It looks like they're doing okay. So if we take everything into consideration, then yeah, it would probably be about 180 days. So I ordered a book yesterday called Cast Iron Forest, and you might want to, if you're in my area or in a little west of me or east of me, north of me, from North Texas, you might want to check out this book, because it talks about how this was, they called it the Cross Timbers, and a lot of it was taken from information in the 1880s from some explorers that were going through here, and they talked about how we had the post oaks and the live oaks, which is very native here in Texas, and I've got a red oak in my backyard, and oaks do well here in Texas because they are native. But it talks about how thick the thickets and the brush was and the trees were in certain areas, but not in ours. Ours was called the Blackland Prairies, or it's still the Blackland Prairies. And Grand Prairie, which is a little northeast of us, that's where it got its name, the Grand Prairie. And it talks about some of the weather patterns and what people were growing in the Comanche Indians, which were very thick through here in our area. And it talks about the weather. And so I was looking at what one of the explorers was saying about the weather in the 1880s. It might even go a little bit no, maybe 1830s. I'll have to go back and verify, but check out the book. Anyway, it was that this area would get down at times, sometimes to -10 degrees, and I don't know that we've gotten to -10 in my lifespan. I think that we've gotten down to -3, and that was in 2021. And then it said how the high temperatures were in the upper 90s, and that's where we're at this week. Now, although our temperatures are just in the upper 90s, and I say just because this time last year we were in the hundreds already, our heat index here lately has been around 109 and 110 degrees. So I'm gonna let you think on that and let you dwell on that. And it did talk about that most of our rain came between February and May, and that we dried up in June, July, and August, and then it starts to pick back up in the fall, which is what we typically see. Now, admittedly so, last year was grueling. The year before that was pretty hot, but in 1980, this time of year, we had weeks of 113, 110, 115 degree temperatures. We reached some of that last year. I sure hope we don't reach any of that this year. I guess we'll see. But so 1980 was pretty darn hot, and last year was pretty darn hot. And this year so far is pretty darn hot. But is it out of the ordinary? It doesn't look like it is. It looks like that maybe the older I'm getting, and now that Greg and I have a farm that we are working and trying to be somewhat profitable from, maybe it's just magnified to us to where it is much hotter in our age. It's much hotter to us, and we just don't have the stamina that we did when we were younger. Because honestly, I don't remember and it being that bad in 1980, but then again, I was probably about 14, 15 years old. So I mainly got the book for Greg because he loves to study geology and stuff. In fact, when he was younger, he wanted to go to school to be a geologist, but it also helps him understand maybe our weather patterns, even though we already know, but maybe give us some more insight and maybe on what farming practices were. We know that they're way, way different than they were a couple of 100 years ago. And we'll probably be doing a couple of video series on this book. But I encourage you, if you're in this area, you might want to get the book for yourself and read it, because I think it's probably got a wealth of information for us all. And I'm looking forward to hearing about other ways and other things that were going on. We know that our farmland has been depleted with chemicals and with commercial fertilizers and GMO stuff. We know this, but Greg has worked very hard to give us living soil in those high tunnels, and you know, he's doing fantastic at it. He has converted it pretty quick, and we're going to keep going in that direction because we don't feel like our soil is very good. Now, that back acre he has been planting cover crops on, you guys know, for a couple of years now, and we do see some improvement. And in fact, these melons and stuff will be some improvement for it as well. So everybody, I hope you found that information useful and maybe interesting. Be sure and give us a thumbs up and a like, and be sure and subscribe to our channel for a great community. I got to get in there and start canning some more bone broth. I hope you're doing the same. Love you all. See you soon.